Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. FSPC Charlie Uno Siege. Now, All-Star Weekend. Giannis, Kawhi, James, and Harden. Okay, I was expecting a drum roll with that, or what, a drum hit or something.
Bro,
James and
come
Harden.
on.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Giannis,
yeah,
Kawhi,
yeah.
James, and Harden.
Yeah, we
I've
know what
said
you're
that.
talking about.
Giannis, Kawhi, James, and Harden have said they would rather have a week off than play in the NBA All-Star game next month. The league plans to stage an All-Star contest on March the 7th in Atlanta, with fan voting already underway. Now, with CP3, the president of the National Basketball Players Association, said the league wanted the game, and the union is getting feedback from players now on having the All-Star game. You see, this is where, from that other conversation of KD and the Corona scare about the choice aspect of things. I mean, you're collecting feedback once the voting has already started. That doesn't make sense. You need to collect feedback from the idea. And looking at a quote from Giannis, right? Coming into the season, what we knew was there's not going to be an all-star game. It was going to be a time to spend with our family. That's what Giannis had to say, right? Players can't go home. I mean, players are meant to go home to the training facility and game venues under these protocols. Clearly, these guys need a break. And to be frank, this is about money. And it's always been about money. That's all there is to it. Because earlier on, we asked the question of sustainability, and it was raised that maybe guys don't have a choice. But with the All-Star Weekend game, they have a choice. Maybe not in the financial realm, but they have a choice in this instance. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's only me coming out with the fake outrage, but was there anyone else that expected an All-Star game this year?
To be
I
honest,
wouldn't say expected, but in my head, I was like, if On's already just playing games just everywhere, what's the difference? You know what I mean? It's not like there's any kind of like bubble thing happening right now. And I think, just like superstar players think about their own interests. Imagine an own who's going to be like a first time All Star this year. You know what I mean? Like the All Star game is probably important to that own, especially if owns have been playing games already. Like if we were in a bubble environment, right? And playing the All Star game would kind of break that, I would understand. But I guess right now the concern is, Guti, you're taking so many players from different teams and putting them all in one spot, and these are the superstars of teams. And if there's some kind of like COVID outbreak, then all those superstars of teams basically can't play. So that's where I kind of understand the players to be like, I would rather not do that because that means we can't finish. Not that you can't finish the rest of the season, but it means that you can't play these games because now all the superstars can't play. It's like it's not worth it, right?
Uh,
But
uh, I mean, from the player's perspective, bro, the number one thing is family and lemon pepper wings, bro.
hey,
That's all.
bro,
That's
but
all there
that's
is about
yeah,
for
that's
the
from
players. I want to hang out with my family.
superstar perspective, bro. That's from
I
you
want to
know what?
hang.
superstar
I want to hang out
perspectives.
with my friends, and I want to see
That's
my family.
for
Siege, go ahead.
No, I understand it being from a superstar perspective, but it's still a perspective because let's not act like All Star Weekend is not more of was more not more of like a chilled basketball event where people are just having fun. They go out to whichever city it is, they go out with their families. Unlike uh, now, what's going to happen? Like, okay, you're playing All Star Weekend. Oh, great. So I'm going to go, my friend. Nope, you're going to be in this with these players. They're like, no, we just came back short to a shorter season already. I had to play in a lot of the guys who will be in this All Star Weekend were playing in the bubble. They're like, why am I having to go through this again? And it's not I'm not going to win. There won't be really any advantage for me actually going there. It's just going to I understand the whole first time All Star, but if they really want to keep it like that, maybe just announce that, all right, you made the All-Star team, but not have to play, because the game is for the fans. Let's be honest,
Just keep
it's
the
a
All
money
Star
grab.
numbers.
Yeah,
Keep those
just
All
keep the
Star numbers
All-Star
up.
numbers. Yeah, if that's what you want, if that's what's really important, keep those All-Star numbers, because that game, it's for the fans to see the group of all these players, superstars playing in the same team, and like that. But we can't ignore the fact that we're now in COVID. So
Yeah,
is
it's a
that,
reality.
yeah? So, and as much as to say we've taken so many losses as it is, but are you going to risk, as Charlie stated, your whole bunch of superstars potentially also getting infected, them being disgruntled? Because once these guys are disgruntled, they can refuse to play other games. So you're going to disgruntle the same people who will bring in more revenue with the remainder of the season, the games of the season, and playoffs. Or just let them get that break. Let them get that 1 week break and be with their families, get the lemon pepper wings or whatever they have to, and just let them be happy, so that you've got a positive rest of the season and playoffs. Because we know when the playoffs come, they're most likely going to implement other protocols and say, okay, teams, we don't want you to go in here, here, here. It's the playoffs, and we'll see how that will be. And you'll see players also still getting more frustrated. It's something that these guys have to realize, that this isn't like back in the day where these players could literally go from a basketball match with Deion Sanders, American football match. Deion Sanders, you go American football match, same night go play baseball. No, it's a different era and different type of athlete, and also mentally. Where the guys, like how we used to laugh at it with back home, was saying a guy will be at the colliery or at railways working and his 9 to 5, then go play football. So there's a different mentality to these players. They know the rights, especially the money that they're getting, especially knowing how much you depend on them for you to have your product. They've been a lot sharper. So they'll voice their reasons. And as you're stating, Una, that you're right. How can you have all-star voting, then saying, hey, players, what do you feel about this? It makes no sense. It
But
makes
I
no
think
sense.
I think that was just to name the All Stars, though. I think it wasn't like a go ahead of having the game. I think it's more so with like, either way, there's going to be All Stars named. You know what I mean? So I'd like owns
I
get
would
your
agree with that.
props.
I would agree with that, and I think that would be a great gesture. I mean, that's what CJ was talking about earlier, about keeping the numbers up. But you shouldn't have a situation where I mean, literally, the MVP comes out and saying, going into the season, we were of the idea that there's not going to be an All-Star game.
Right.
Now there's voting. You don't want situations like that. Siege was speaking about it being a fans game. When Siege actually started off his talking and he says, let's be honest, guys, I thought he was just going to start going in on the All-Star game. But the reality is that the All-Star game over the years itself as an event has kind of dwindled. And it's dwindled largely because the games don't really seem that competitive. And now when you see someone like LeBron saying he's going in there with zero excitement, what does that mean for
Zero
the fans?
energy.
What does that mean for the fans? This is the number one guys, the number
If
one guy
LeBron
when
of
they're
all
voting.
people, as you're saying, if LeBron of all people is saying he's going in with zero energy, and LeBron plays, he doesn't cheat the fans night in, night out. So what does that say for everyone else? Like, if LeBron doesn't want, and I didn't want to play. So this is my chance to be like, you know what, I don't have to play, because even LeBron doesn't want to play. Why should I play if LeBron doesn't want to play? Who am I going to be playing with? Type of situation. So give the players their rest, because you're not giving them a break anyway. The only time a player has some sort of break is if you think they broke COVID protocols and now has to be away for a week or two. But prior to that, the players aren't getting any rest. There's the social aspect of this that you still must be, and it's something that you touched on, that how's the NBA dealing on that social aspect? Because we saw Paul George telling us that he wasn't coping in the bubble. So now you're going to put him in another bubble. He's playing great now. Put him in another bubble. Go back to sideboard hitting 3-point Paul George, and the league becomes
but
boring.
but what if, okay, so here let's play devil's advocate for a little bit. So one, what if it, All-Star Weekend is usually 3-day event, right? A lot of players get there like a week before just so that they can, be around the place, XYZ, da 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 da. What if it just, owns just only have to show up for the portions that they are selected for? So if you're in the 3-point contest, you just have to be there for the 3-point contest. You know, XYZ basically, where you don't have to go there necessarily to do, you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, you're not trapped there for like 2 weeks or whatever. It's like it'll be either probably that week or those 3 days that you have to be there. Because you don't really have to be there like the whole time, bro. Especially like if you're doing the 3-point contest, like there's only what 6 dudes who have to do that, I think. Um, so, because my thing is like I don't feel, because in the bubble that was a long time, bro. I was there for like months, bro. Like I can understand that affecting Owens, but it's like now it's like this would be no different than a road trip for Owens, right? Like Owens already do this where they gotta go play in Atlanta, so the team's gonna travel to Atlanta. You're there for a couple of days. You play your game. You're probably gonna play them twice, so you might be there for a week. Um, and then after that, you're back on the road. Like, I don't see how this is that much different from any of this. Aside
Okay,
from the fact that Uti owns want rest, I can understand that because it's like, yeah, it's a short season. I'd rather have the rest than
but
than
listen, that's that's not a small thing, bro. These guys had 2 months off, you know, which
So
is
no.
just
So I was saying
yeah.
with you, like 1 week is gonna make a difference.
No, but to them, they were looking forward to it. They were
Mm,
expecting that they're going to
sure.
have 7 days
You
or
know what?
5 days or whatever without playing basketball, without having to observe protocol. And I think one of the main things here is that when you speak
But I
about
think they
family,
would still have to observe protocol because you're off for a week,
the,
then you're back.
yeah, the way that they're speaking is that they'll actually be able to go other places besides staying at home
Yeah,
during that break. So now that I think that is the main thing here, that if you're being told you can only be in 3 places, home, training facility, game venue, you know, you're looking
yeah.
forward to interacting with extended members of your family, things of that
Bro,
nature.
manje, then I would rather really Owens push for this All-Star game. Because if you think about what you're saying, this means during that All-Star break, Owens are going to Owens are going to go other places and not observe any COVID protocol, and then come back and play the games. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like this is just not gonna work out, bro.
they're not going to observe NBA COVID protocols, not in
That's what I'm
general.
saying, though.
Out there in the streets, there's general public COVID protocols, just like you're observing them. I'm observing them. Siege is observing them. So there is. It's not like people. Okay, let me not say it's not like people are going to do A, B, C, and D, because I don't know. People might start doing Insta stories at birthday parties
I'm
and
telling
inside
you,
strip
bro.
clubs. You understand? So
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
you see, those are just the realities. But to be honest with you, these guys can do it now. They can do it now.
But
This guy
but
was
but
just doing
but
it
I
before.
think
Uh,
but I think
Yeah.
it's a little less now because the NBA is technically watching over you like a hawk. You know what I mean? Like it's not so it's easier to get caught and reprimanded for it. You know what
But
I'm
you see,
saying?
okay, if you go out there and do it now, right? Yeah, you are breaking those NBA protocols. So it can even be painted as, oh, you don't care about the league, you don't care for the other players. But if you have that week to go and do your stuff, and it's a break, and of which, yeah, all of us are are bringing a negative connotation, right? Because even if we think about it, in the whole bubble situation, it was just Lou, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
don't think anyone else broke it. So you can see that even percentage-wise, you know, the chances of this happening or funny things or people pulling antics are low. We can see that from the guys that have pulled antics so far. So it's not something that we can put a magnifying glass on to that level that, 60% of the NBA is going to go out there and do A, B, C, D. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I mean, the tests that they've been doing have been kind of serious. If you're going to say, okay, we're going to have the 5 days off, right? 5 days off or the 7 days off, then honestly, they just have to add a few more days, if not another 5 days or another week, so that they can allow that window for the testing before people start again. Because, for instance, I know Durant is only eligible to come back for Friday, right?
Friday.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that means that it takes about a week
Seven
or whatever.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they should just add that week. Everyone should be tested in that week, then people are good to go. That's what I think should happen.
Friday.
But definitely don't spring up the idea of All Star Weekend on people
Yeah,
if they
and I
I
didn't
think
think
expect what's
it's
going to happen.
bringing it for
do you
sure.
know what? Do you know
Yeah,
what's gonna? That's another issue. A simple fact that there are those players who you know aren't gonna be on All Star Weekend. What are they gonna do? They don't have to be in their bubble. They'll be chilling with their family. Like, no, you're the guy who's going there. Why should I have to be acting like I'm also at All Star Week?
lemon pepper
And
family,
that mental, yeah, and that
It's all lemon
mentally,
pepper family.
lemon pepper tas.
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
and that mentally messes up with a lot of players that know. But the 11 other guys on my team didn't have to do this. Why
Well, but then
do
that's
only two
always
of
like a
us have to do
thing
it?
though, right? Like this is not like a different thing. As in, which is like
No,
fella
no,
owns who
but the
don't
thing
get
is,
selected
wait,
to the
wait.
All-Star break are always going to have like an extra, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like yeah,
Charlie. But this is the difference. The difference here is that first of all, like I mentioned earlier, All Star break is like a family holiday for these guys. They go on holiday. It's not like that's why the games are also aren't as serious. That's why we saw absolutely no defense and the likes. Second of all, it's you have to take into the context of the times. During these times, these guys always being out together. It's easier to accept something as a larger group. Unlike now, it's a select few, and they'll be like, so hey man, I was All Star. Now it was great. What about you? Hey man, I had a heck of a time with my family and my friends. Man, I had a bit of a barbecue right there. Had my lemon pepper wings out there. Yeah, differently mentally like now, and I didn't get that. That it becomes that, yeah, and I didn't get that. We can't we can't forget that factor that people will think like that because we see it in normal day life.
that's true. But bro, like I'm saying, bro, like at some level, it's like we can't factor in owns who just weren't going to be in the game anyway. Because it's like really
It's just
it was going to be different for them
Yeah, no,
regardless.
I get that. I'm just saying that with the context of COVID, with the context of them already wanting the rest. This season, those guys not there, it will affect the guys who actually win a lot more than it did any other season. Any other season, they're cool, they're chilled about it. Because any other day of the week, when they're playing at home or even playing away, they can do whatever they want. Right now, you can't just do that. So that's what makes it a bit more irritating than it did in previous seasons.
okay, cool. I think we'll stop it there. I mean, Charlie is just out here segregating and discriminating people according to scrubbage ability. If you a scrub,
Bro,
if you a
exactly. I
scrub,
can't
you
put
don't
you
matter.
in the same conversation, bro. Like,
If
what?
you a scrub, hush up, my man, hush up.
Yeah. You need
But
to
I
chill
mean,
out, fam.
that's even the headline said that the NBA have a superstar problem when it comes to the All Star Weekend because, well, people come out to see the superstars, people come out to see the All Stars.